and welcome in to be our guest. In 1992, I had the pleasure to be at the grand opening ribbon cutting for Booker T. Washington High School in Tuskegee, Alabama. As we stood there, an elderly gentleman came up to me and said, "You know, this school cost $8 million. And he shook his head. And I looked at him and said, "A lot cheaper than a prison, isn't it?" Today in our world, education is getting the back seat. It needs to be in the front seat. Montgomery County did a wonderful thing in April of 2022. They brought in Dr. Melvin Brown.
How are you?
Well, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
You're taking over a school system. This is the Montgomery Public Schools system. 52 schools. Is it 27,400
Just short of
students?
27,000.
Yeah, it's good. So what do you, my big thing is that over the years, discipline has been tough in schools. How do you address something like that at this stage?
There are a number of things we're doing now to address some of that. At our secondary schools, we found that many of our discipline issues came out of usage of cell phones. So we implemented these things called yonder pouches, which means our kids lock up their phones every day as they come in the building. They can't access them until they leave at the end of the day. And what we found is our kids are actually having conversations with each other now instead of staring down at their phones. I think it's changed
Listening to the teacher, maybe?
culture. Absolutely.
Yeah, yes.
Our kids have even said they're able to pay more attention in class. They're more attentive to what's happening throughout the school. And we think it's going to change not only
That's wonderful.
the culture and environment, but we think it's going to improve their grades as well. We also want to work really well closely with parents to make sure they understand expectations and how we can assert those, because everybody has to be accountable for that. And then finally, we've done some things with restorative justice so kids can understand the impact of their actions and how it impacts other people. So we're having conversations in regard to that too. We think accountability and responsibility for those things is important.
And you're looking at some growth in the school system. You're bringing on some good quality teachers.
We are. We've been in a position now where we've raised our profile, if you will, academically. We talked about some things that are important for our long-term prognosis to be successful long-term. And I think people have bought into that vision, knowing that we have to change what classroom environments look like for a changing populace. We're preparing kids for a world that many of us would never have imagined. And if I was to sit here and say, you know, I want to prepare kids for the same world I walked into, that would be a huge mistake. Their world is going to look very different. And if we don't prepare them for that, we're making a huge mistake.
Yeah, and of course, when you're looking at the school system, you've got some stellar schools.
Yeah, we do.
You do.
We do. And even in the schools that haven't done well, quote unquote, they have some pockets of success as well. But we do have the number 1, number 7, and number 16 high schools in the state. So we're really proud of the work they're doing. We want to spread that through the rest of our district as well, so everyone understands that success should be something every kid experiences, and we want to create those opportunities for all of our students.
And on the onset of the interview, I talked about the visit I had to Tuskegee. And of course, what we have to realize the fact is education is just so important. It's the foundation to build the person, isn't it?
Crucial. I talk a lot about the whole notion of how we change communities and we change the whole notion of generational poverty through education. I'm a product of generational poverty. I was raised by a single mom. We lived in a trailer with no running water until I was 16 years old. She gave birth to me when she was 17. So we struggled, and I understood early on, as did she, my only way to break that cycle was through education. I want kids to understand that that's their way out, regardless of any skills, any talents they might have. The one thing everybody has is an opportunity to obtain an education to find a way out. I tell them I'm not special, being that we were able to break that cycle. That doesn't make me special. That just makes me someone who took advantage of opportunities I was given, and I want our kids to understand that as well.
And you walk the walk.
Absolutely,
That's very important to realize. And then with our viewers, we want to find out, what can our viewers do to help the public school system?
Absolutely. We're in positions now where kids have so many varied needs and challenges that they confront, be they academically, social, emotional, what have you. So on the front end, I'm always looking for role models and mentors to come in and work with our kids, to get them to understand that the things we're telling them at school are real life things that other people from the community can help accentuate and get them to understand the impact. Always looking for tutors. The onset of the Alabama Literacy Act and the Alabama Numeracy Act are going to give us an opportunity to really change academically how we get our kids to perform, but we're going to need some people to help us do that. Many of our kids need mentors. They need tutors. I worked with one kid just at 8 o'clock this morning who's just getting enrolled, and I'm matching him up with a mentor from the community. So he has someone weekly who will check on him as well as I will, just to get him to understand how important he is and how important
So to become a mentor, what does a person do? Do they?
A couple of ways to do it. We have a portal that we're developing that'll be on our website. That's one way to do it. But you can always call your school in your neighborhood and ask for one of the administrative assistants or even the principal and say you're interested in doing some volunteering and some mentoring, and we'll make sure we take care of that.
Because you're making things where the local schools and the neighborhoods can make decisions,
Yes.
which I love.
Absolutely.
That's what I've heard.
Being close to your community, you know it best, and who's beneficial in that community, you know how to get them engaged at the local level. We want to be able to take as much advantage of that as possible.
To be a tutor, do you need special training?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. And even some of that specialized training you might need, we can help you get that.
Great. Well, thank you for what you're doing. And remember, it's the public school system, but it needs your support. It's there to make sure these children get a good foundation in their lives. And we'll be right back right after this.